Greetings, Doctor. Myself, Ravindra Rajan. Today, I'll be presenting the introduction. First of all, bioenergy. Bioenergy is a sustainable source that is produced and harvested from the organic matter such as biomass. This is important in Malaysia because the continuous dependency of non-renewable fossil fuels will hinder and then be a stop to the development of Malaysia. As Malaysia has embraced and improved the bioenergy through various successive of constituent signs such as FDP and SREP. Example of bioenergy that are produced in Malaysia are biofuel and then biogas. We have classified the sources of bioenergy in Malaysia into three: agricultural waste such as the crops, rubber, cocoa and rice, and forest residue. Since we are blessed with rainforests, we can produce timber log residues and sawmill and veneer mill residues. And lastly, municipal waste such as animal waste, domestic waste, and industrial waste that will be generated into electricity for public use. Lastly, biorefinery facilities. These biorefinery facilities are in Malaysia, such as Terengganu, for the usage of second generation feedstock such as cellulose and hemicellulose to produce bioenergy products. Thank you.
Potential bioenergy and the feedstock in Malaysia. The bioenergy produced in Malaysia is known as biofuels. Bioethanol, biogas, biodiesel, and biohydrogen are the four types of biofuels. There are many sources that can be used as a viable substitute for the fossil fuel. In Malaysia, biomass waste is used as a feedstock to produce biofuels. Biomass waste are used in Malaysia such as timber, coconut trunk fibers, oil palm waste, and municipal waste. In addition, other agricultural products such as rubber, paddy, and palm oil product have the ability to be used as a sources of production of biofuels. Biofuel production in Malaysia. Bioethanol production. There are four fundamental stages in cellulosic ethanol technology, which were pre-treatment, hydrolysis, fermentation, and distillation, ethanol recovery. Second will be the biodiesel production. There are two different approaches to biodiesel production, either single step, tank esterification, or two-step ester tank esterification process. Next will be the biohydrogen production. For this one, the thermochemical method and biochemical method are the two forms of biomass conversion technology utilized. Last one will be the biogas production. An anaerobic digestification process can produce biogas.
The classification of biofuels into different generations are based on the raw material used. First generation biofuels utilize edible crops that are rich in sugar or oil as raw material. The introduction of these biofuels provide new market opportunities for agricultural products. In addition, the core product that has been generated in this process can be used in other industries. The disadvantage of this generation of biofuels is that its raw material came into conflict with food industry, causing several problems such as spiking of price in agricultural products or potentially leads to food crisis. This concern gives rise to second generation biofuels that use non-edible crops or crops biomass as raw material. They no longer cause food crisis and is more eco-friendly as it produces less greenhouse gases. Yet, low production of biofuels compared to previous generation became the biggest flaw of second generation biofuels. In order to compensate the difference, more raw material will be needed. This will lead to increase in production costs. Thus, the third generation were introduced to solve the problem. This generation of biofuels use algal biomass as raw material. The biofuels can produce high amount of energy compared to previous generation. The raw material algae also can tolerate high concentration of carbon dioxide and grow throughout the year regardless of season. The third generation biofuels are actually biodegradable too. This makes the biofuels even more environmental friendly. Despite having the advantage, the development cost of algae is higher than the land crops. Thus, the cost processing for raw materials, which is quite complicated, is also a challenging point for third generation biofuels. The introduction of fourth generation biofuels is made on the basis of previous generation, where the algae had its gene modified, which leads to increase in biofuels production as well as increase in lipid content. Their capability to capture more carbon dioxide enables them to reduce greenhouse gases. However, the rate of investment for the technologies for this generation of biofuels is still high.
The framework of bioenergy development consists of three phases, namely early transition phase, acceleration phase, and sustainable development phase. At the early transition phase, the Small Renewable Energy Power SRET program was a premier policy mechanism implemented by the national government to promote small-scale renewable energy in Malaysia from year 2001 to 2010. However, it managed only to meet less than 3% of its original goal by year 2005. Why? It faces technical obstacles and economic financial obstacles. Both of these obstacles results in reducing of the stakeholders' capacity. In response to that, government has launched several policies to promote the growth of bioenergy in Malaysia. Moving to the next phase, which is acceleration phase in year 2010 until 2019. At this phase, the key program here is FIT system, Feed-in Tariff System. This program is administered by the Sustainable Energy Development Authority Malaysia, SEDA. In relation to this, two acts are enacted, namely Renewable Energy Act and Sustainable Development Act. Under the FIT scheme, the utility is legitimately adhered to the procurement of power generated from any four recognized indigenous resources, namely biomass, biogas, small hydro, and sunlight-based PV energy, at a fixed rate and terms specified in the law. As such, more research and development are required to boost the development. Moving to the next and the last phase, which is sustainable development phase of year 2020 and 2029. Despite having several obstacles and immature technologies to fully incorporate biofuels to substitute the petroleum gas, the abundant natural resources, namely the lignocellulosic, biomass, and palm oil mill effluent in Malaysia possess potential to be a green for having properties to reduce greenhouse gas. As such, more research and development are required to solidify the technology and its advancement, as well as supportive measures from government agencies such as new bioenergy policies and initiatives to attract the stakeholders. The integration and induced collaboration between the sectors, government, stakeholders, the industry should be emphasized in order to meet the country's need and to attain a sustainable development.
Right now, I'm going to talk about the advantage of sustainable development. In the aspect of the economic of the generation of biomass power are critically dependent on the availability at competitive cost and economic merit of a stable long-term supply of suitable biomass feedstock. Large-scale power plant with capacity above 1,000 megawatts show more attractive prospect for investment and commercial benefits compared to a small scale which is 10 megawatts. The greater the output of the factory, the lower the real per kilowatts capex and fixed O&M cost. Minimum investment is required because biomass co-firing not require the new power plant system as the system already in place at the current power plant. Next, in the aspect of environment, enhanced program for bioenergy conservation and waste management will minimize the amount of open degradation, minimize the nation's consumption of a fossil fuel, and ultimately GHG emission because higher amount of surplus power is pumped into the grid. Lastly, in the aspect of social, Malaysia's palm oil industry has supported the local economy and people in rural area in terms of new job opportunities. Increasing number of millers and public involvement contribute to greater acceptability and unwavering support for green technology among stakeholders. Next is Biomass Industry Strategic Action Plan. A joint program was conducted between European Union and Malaysia to assist small and medium enterprises (SME) in Malaysia in the development of local biomass resources for high value utilization. The formulation of Biomass Industry Strategic Action Plan 2020 for the growth of entire biomass industry in Malaysia is one of the key effects of this program. There are three primary strategies under Action Plan, which is unlocking biomass feedstock, smart use of biomass through commercialization, and establishing nation as the focal point of internal and external biomass stakeholders. Biomass SME have a collective voice through MBIC to engage the Government of Malaysia, its related agencies and other stakeholders in developing and advancing this industry. Lastly is about National Biomass Strategy. National Biomass Strategy 2020, which was launched in 2011, is another key document for the growth of biomass sector in Malaysia. The key concerns are the economic of mobilizing these biomass resources from the field as well as the effect of biomass removal from the field on soil fertility. Plant adopts a short-term strategy to encourage the global market export of palm biomass pellets, followed by a long strategy to grow the bio-based liquid, fuels and chemical sectors. Effect of the biomass industry is high value usage of biomass resources will produce and achieve USD 10 billion per annum by by 2020. The use of biomass and biogas for grid-connected RE, which is renewable energy, generation to result in CO2 avoidance of 3,007 tons,
factories and export of fuel pellets.
In conclusion, we can say that Malaysia has high potential of turning biostocks and resources into bioenergies because we are blessed with a variety of resources. Despite having all this abundance of resources and bio feedstocks, Malaysia is still striving to produce a vast amount of bioenergy to supply both domestic, industrial and other sectors because we have lack of expertise and technology as of now. To overcome this, Malaysia have undergone successive contracts and agreements with Asian and other foreign countries that have successfully produced their bioenergy from respective feedstocks. And in future, we can believe that this biomass are 100% utilized for the production of bioenergy and 0% to landfills as waste. Thank you.